You're listening to Seek Travel Ride, a podcast sharing bike adventures from people from all over the world. And this episode is sponsored by Old Man Mountain, makers of the most durable bike racks out there. If you want to head out on an adventure, you need to strap gear onto your bike, and Old Man Mountain have you covered in a myriad of ways. Head to oldmanmountain.com to find out more. Now, onto today's episode.
There were definitely times there that were very hard. You're kind of sitting there, you're kind of watching everyone else around you who you've cycled with just continue on with their journey. You're sitting there kind of like in the unknown, like, well, in the middle of India, in the mountains, like, well, am I actually going to be able to continue?
Yeah, the day which we got into Sydney, it was quite emotional for me. You know, it's the end of a massive chapter of my life, and I'll always be grateful for it. It was a very surreal feeling. So we had to get in an elevator to get down to the Sydney Opera House, and I was thinking, like, on the way down from the elevator, I was just thinking, like, oh my God, this is it.
Welcome to Seek Travel Ride, where we share the stories and experiences of people taking amazing adventures by bike. Whether it's crossing state borders, mountain ranges, countries or continents, we want to share that spirit of adventuring on two wheels with our listeners. Hello, listeners. Well, what a special treat we have today. If you can hear a bit of music, it's because I'm actually recording from a pub. That's a Bella first, a first for the podcast, and I've got two extremely special guests. Both of them are actually previous guests of the show, previous two-time guests of the show. So, lads, this is the third time up, and those guests are Malachi Francis and Jamie Hargreaves. Just a few days ago, both of these lads rolled into the Sydney Opera House, putting a big milestone marker down in their trips, two separate trips, often done together, all the way from the UK to Australia. That journey was one that started for both of them without each of them knowing the other, and now they've probably come across as, I don't know whether I'd use a little hint of blood brothers, I'm not sure, brothers of the soul, brothers from brothers another mother, sure. Cousins. But regardless, fast friendships can happen on the road, and strong friendships happen when those fast friendships hang around and ride through multiple countries together, hike through countries together, reach summits together. Malachi and Jamie have had some amazing highs on this monumental expedition of theirs, probably some amazing lows as well, and I think a lot of great moments that have happened in between. Regardless, what an absolute privilege and pleasure to be able to actually see them face to face. Have a drink. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Very good. And now we get to saddle up and ask them some questions. First off, Jamie, Malachi, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having us on again, and this time in person.
Yeah, it's great to actually finally meet you and be able to sit down and share a beer with you.
Yeah, and listeners, I had the extreme pleasure of actually sharing a coffee with you beforehand and chatting stuff that we chat offline as well. I sort of feel like I know both of your journeys from having lived vicarious through them and chatted to you at different points, but I'm looking forward to what I learn about today. I've already asked my first question to you both before, so I'm actually going to change it up a little bit, and I want you to both tell me about the very first day that you both rode together on this cycle tour.
The first day that we rode together, yeah, it was in Turkey. It was on our way up to Cappadocia, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we had met just outside Cappadocia, and for a kebab, both of our favourite meal to have together.
I think we actually met each other outside the supermarket whilst I was buying a litre of chocolate milk.
He was buying a litre of chocolate milk, and I was still recovering from some food poisoning, shall we say. So I had to, quick, hello, how you doing, mate? I'm going to go find a toilet really quick.
That was the first thing that he said to me. He said, yeah, I've got to scoot off to go find the bog.
Jamie, is that when you realised he really was a brother from another mother?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no.
Spared no details. Spared no details, no.
Tell me how the rest of that day went, Malachi.
Yeah, we had a kebab, a little chat, and then had a really awesome ride just descending down into Cappadocia while the sun was setting, in search for a camp spot, set up, had a couple of beers, second kebab, and just sat around chatting about our trip and our lives together. And it was, really, really great. It was like one of these when you meet someone, there's that instant connection, that instant, I really like this guy. And never looked back since then. It was just, one of those instant friendships, and then, had a good night's sleep and woke up to the beautiful balloons of Cappadocia.
Wow, I've seen so many bike travellers that I've interviewed, photos from Cappadocia. It almost looks like AI, somebody told me about that.
It's unreal.
It almost looks fake, doesn't
Absolutely amazing. We ended up spending like 2 nights, was it there? In Cappadocia?
We can't leave just yet. It's just too good to be true. So we found another spot by the Penis Rock, shall we say?
Yeah, Love Valley. Love Valley.
Yeah.
And actually, I only just realised recently I had Slauka, a previous guest of the show, she sent through a little update about her trip to Cappadocia. I didn't realise there's like caves and underground cities around there as well.
There's amazing architecture there. Yeah, so it's like there's just all these like caves carved out into the mountains, which are old temples. It's Christian-based churches, and they're absolutely amazing. There's some which we unfortunately didn't go to, which are near Cappadocia. There's like this underground labyrinth, which was discovered by a man when he was digging in his basement or something.
Wow.
And I'm really upset that we didn't get to see that, but you can't see everything.
Every now and then when I'm renovating in my French house and I've got our backyard, if I'm digging like a new place to plant some vegetables, I often wish that I dig up some treasure. I haven't done anything yet, but could you imagine digging up an underground little city? Because I think something Slauka told me was, I think some of these places, they had like 20,000 people. Like, it's not a small thing.
No, they're massive. It's all old Christian settlements from back in the day. So it's all old sandstone, so they were easily carved out, and it's all old Christian settlements, which you don't really expect being in Turkey. But I think they came from, where did they flee? They were fleeing from somewhere. They built them in the grounds to almost hide to a degree, I think.
Yeah. Alexander the Great apparently visited. There's a depiction of him in one of them, I think.
Wow. It's one of those things, lads, and I wonder, like, Cappadocia is something that you see images of and you see, so you sort of know what's coming, right? But how many times on this journey have you just been like, whoa, like blown away by just the happenstance of what you've arrived at, what you're seeing at as well? Like, there'd be so many places that you learn about a history or you see something you didn't know existed before, right?
I mean, so many places, yeah. Like going to Angkor Wat in Cambodia, it's such a monumental place. I mean, it's just amazing to sort of throw yourself back in time and see these places and try to imagine what they were like at the time when they were still sort of civilizations. Yeah, the amount of history that we see, it's just amazing. It's mind-blowing.
Angkor Wat is meant to be a huge place in itself. Malachi, you were there actually on your own, I think, in Cambodia. You had a hard time in Cambodia, didn't you? You were sick when you went there, but Angkor Wat was somewhere you really wanted to see.
Yeah, I was on my own in Cambodia. Yeah, Cambodia was a very challenging country for me. Yeah, I just kept getting unwell. It was so hot. Roads were really awful. I ended up going on that like really long dirt road, which was just like, I've never experienced anything quite like it before. I was completely covered in just red dirt. It was like, you couldn't breathe. It was worse than anything we'd experienced in Nepal. Like my whole chest was just covered. And then, I ended up getting to Angkor Wat and doing the first main temple, and then just feeling really, really unwell again. So I ended up going home. So I didn't even get to check out the whole complex. And then the next day I left to go to Thailand because I was going to meet my mate in Bangkok for his birthday. So it was a mixed experience, Cambodia, for me. I think as someone, I'll probably have to go back again with a fresh set of eyes and maybe without the bicycle to enjoy it a bit more. But still, a great country. Saw some crazy sights there. Still interesting. Don't regret my time there. Everything's an experience, even if it's not always the most positive. It's still an experience.
Yeah. Is that something that you both reflect on a bit differently? I guess, actually, Jamie, this is a question, and actually Fergal Guian asked me about this originally, and he said, you're someone who obviously grew up with stories from around the world, right? You heard about your dad's trip from 40 years prior. Your mum did extensive travel. So since the age you were knee-high to a grasshopper, you've been hearing stories around the kitchen table about places and countries and what it's like. So there's an element of what your mind was like about the world before you left, but then there's nothing like experiencing it for yourself and the perception of a reality, even from what you've been told. Have you found from that perspective, like reflecting back to when you left Derby, 18 months ago or whatever it was, to now, like, do you find that your perspective on the world has shifted?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. One of the main reasons why I left on this trip in the first place was obviously because I was raised on my dad's stories and I wanted to have stories sort of similar of my own. and have the same sort of experiences, then what you find is that, like, going across the world, obviously you're not going to have the same experiences. You're going to have different things happen. So I've had a completely different journey to my dad's, although it's been following the same route. We've had we've had some similarities and stuff, similarities in hospitality and like the kindness of people and, you know, all that side. But then there's also been differences in every country that you go to. Like, I mean, Iran, for example, like we couldn't even go through Iran. And there's, the amount of countries which have just changed dramatically since my dad was there in comparison to when we were passing through. And yeah, I mean, my perspective has definitely changed on the world in terms of, I mean, you see how small the world really is, because you see places on like National Geographic and, you know, all these nature TV shows and travel documentaries and all this stuff, and you see the different landscapes that these people go to. And then when you're actually cycling through, you know, you spend a week in one biome and then you change into another biome, and like the world is so diverse, and it's actually a really small place when you look at it from the bigger perspective. The fact that you can cycle through countries in like a week is kind of mad.
Yeah, not this country, unfortunately.
Yeah, not this country, but you know, going through Europe, it was so fast going through each individual country, and the landscape changed dramatically, and you know, there's new things to see every day. And like going through in Turkey, we did the day which we went down to the Black Coast. We went through like 4 completely different biomes within one day. It was absolutely madness, because we were sort of on the top of the Turkey plateau. Because for those who don't know, Turkey is like very raised up in the middle. It's very high up, and then we sort of, that's all like grassland, sort of desert scape, a bit like, you know, Sahara. And then you go up. We had this big climb. Then on the top, it was more like it was not like the Lake District. It was all sort of it was nice, grassy, cool, and rock and stuff. And we had this big descent down. And as we went down, it sort of turned into like deciduous forest. And then as we got further down, it turned into tropical rainforest. Down by the coast, it was boiling and it was really humid. Yeah, realizing how the landscape changes is probably the biggest thing which I'd take from it.
Yeah. What about you, Malachi, if I was to switch that around? Like, obviously, I don't think your mum and dad I'm not sure how much travelling they have done. I don't think your dad did a journey like Jamie's dad did. But, like, I'm not sure what travel stories you were even reared with. But how's your perspective changed since your travel through as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, my parents, you know, they did their travelling here and there, but nowhere near to the extent to what we've done. Yeah, I mean, how has it changed? I mean, yeah, I guess, you know, what Jamie says is like, yeah, the world is this massive place, but then it's also so small at the same time. And, you know, all the people you can kind of run into on that journey. But like, how has the world changed? My view for me, it's a lot safer than you kind of imagine it is, I guess. There's a lot more to it as well. I think we kind of get stuck in this idea of what we see on the news of certain places. Like, for example, like we were talking about earlier, India, all the things kind of associated with that country. And then you go there and then you can really experience it for what it actually is. And yeah, I think it's one of these things, like, you've got to be there on the ground in the place to really understand it, you know, and that's the beauty of what we do, right, is that we get to see that and we get to have those real life experiences and bring them back to other people and then hopefully inspire other people to go to these places and experience them.
Malachi, something that occurs to me, because you and Jamie obviously have had moments on this tour where you've cycled together for, I guess, would you say, I'm not sure. I don't know if have you tallied up how long you've...
I think we established this over half of the trip was pretty much cycled together, yeah. So yeah. I cycled for about 2 months, 2 weeks with 2 months with Ralph, and then 2 weeks on my own before I met Jamie. And then up until Uzbek, it was with Jamie and then Dragos as well. And then that was about, I think maybe about 3 months, yeah.
Then there was another 3 months after that until...
Saw each other again, yeah. So it's, you know, it's well over half of our journey was spent together cycling, yeah.
You then, after the monumental stuff in Nepal, which we spoke about, and then you both did some stuff together in Southeast Asia, and then you came to Australia and were up in Queensland, settled there, not riding for a while. What has it been like to sort of have had that time off the bike, and to actually, have you had the opportunity to maybe talk about your travels with people? The reason I ask that, sorry, very long way to ask a question. The reason I ask that is it's easy enough to talk to someone like me. It's easy enough to talk to someone who's on your bike tour travelling the same way, because you don't sort of have to describe what you're doing. They sort of get it. But what about day to day? Like, you know, if you're a dish pig in a kitchen or something, working in a bar or whatever it is, like the person that you just, you know, flatmate with or relatives or friends, like, do you find you have the opportunity to talk about your travels?
Yeah, I think I've been able to have a lot of conversations with people, and you know, it's kind of always like the same response, like, what do you mean you cycled from England?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? What are you on about? They always kind of like can't quite comprehend that you've cycled there. And
No, I always see some jokes in the headlines. Oh, how did they cycle across the oceans?
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
that's
oh,
a classic.
whatever.
That's a classic
Yeah.
one. You know, the Aussies and the American. They love to say that. Yeah.
But you have had opportunities to talk. But
Yeah.
people can't comprehend it. Like, a better way to ask that question, do you ever stop yourself from talking about it because you know it's a conversation that's too hard to have with some people?
Sometimes I don't like to, like, you know, just as soon as you meet someone, just drop it like, yeah, by the way, you know, I cycled across the world. Like, you know, I don't want to come across like arrogance or anything like that. So I think I like to talk to someone on a, you know, a normal level before I'm like, oh yeah. And they're like, well, it's usually when they ask you like, oh, why are you here? Like, what have you been doing for the last so-and-so years? And you're like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I did this. But yeah, I don't like to just drop it straight away. Like, you know, because I don't feel awkward about it, but it's almost like, because they can't comprehend it. So sometimes they're just like, what do you mean? They just don't understand. And then you explain them or you show them your Instagram or something. And like, wow, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Do you ever look back at it and go, wow, what was I doing?
All the time.
What about you, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, same case really. Like, I don't really tend to bring it up unless somebody asks about it, because yeah, it's the same thing. Like, it's a long topic to get into, and generally when you do bring it up, a lot of people ask a lot of questions. And
Hello?
which I don't mind. I don't mind from time to
That's
time.
my
but,
job. That's my
yeah.
job.
Yeah, don't mind from time to time. You know, it's lovely talking about it, but then at the same time, if you're talking about it every day, it kind of just makes it. I don't know. It's interesting.
It's funny. This is actually a question that a lot of podcasters ask. So it's not an original, but what's a question that no one asks you that you wish they would ask you?
That's another bloody hard question.
While Jamie thinks, what are you thinking, Malachi?
So that's a tricky one. I don't know if there is anything that I wish anyone particularly asked me. I think I just enjoy the fact that people want to chat to you about it, I guess. I think it's just nice to have a normal conversation with someone about it who's actually just genuinely interested in your stories and what you have to say about the world. Because, you know, I've had a lot of conversations with people who haven't necessarily had the privilege of going to travel like that. So for me, I love them all. I love all the questions. There's not one question that I particularly don't like or I'm looking for. I think it's just great to have conversations with people about it who, haven't had that opportunity to experience and kind of share my experience with them.
Yeah.
And maybe open their eyes to certain places. Because I know I've had a lot of conversations with people, for example, like Uzbekistan, right? Like, awesome country. And it's just not on anyone's radar at all. And I'm like, you got to go. You know, if you've not been, you got to go. It's very cheap, so rich in history. The food is incredible there. It's
those cities there as well, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, so I think that's, for me, there's not really a question I want. It's just, I just love to share what my experience was and hopefully maybe open people's eyes to what else is out there. Yeah.
What about you, Jamie?
Honestly, I still can't really think of anything. I can't think of anything in particular that I'd like to be asked. I've been asked a lot of questions.
Is there a question that you hate being asked? Maybe that's a better one.
Like, everyone always asks, like, what's your favourite country?
Oh.
And that's a nightmare because it's impossible to answer.
There's also recency bias there, right? I guess milestone or achievement bias. Like, I imagine if I asked you that, you know, you'd have to say something like about Nepal, I imagine. I could be wrong. Maybe Afghanistan. I'd like you to say Australia, but you've only been here just a few days.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the favourites, the superlatives. Actually, I interviewed Heinz Stucker a few months ago, and he had a rule, which I think I didn't realise I broke at one point. He called me up on it, was to not talk about the superlatives. He didn't want to know, like, everyone asked the highest, the best, the worst, and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So you get the favourite country a lot.
Yeah, that's the number one question that people ask.
I think Australian news media asked you that, actually.
Yeah, they did, yeah. And I just gave the same answer that I always give everybody, which is I can't really narrow it down, but like 3 which really stick in the mind are Afghanistan, Nepal and Turkey.
If I was to flip it and say the best experience that you had on this trip, or the best moments, that's too hard as well, right?
It's still too hard because every experience is so different that you can't place them in the same category.
No,
it's all completely different.
This is a great point in the pod where I get to bring up a question asked by good old Mr. Phill Hargreaves, your dad. Let me find it here. Phill, I'm going to Sydney tomorrow, meeting up with Jamie and Malachi. Any chance you can send through a question for them? Phil's response, "That's brilliant, Bella!" Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Thanks, Phill. How about, what were the best day and worst days on the road for them?
The best days and the worst days on the road.
So, before you both answer that, I then had a little back and forth with Phill, and I said, straight at it with the superlatives, I wonder whether the worst day in the moment actually becomes the best day on reflection. And I'd said, what was his? So while you still think, I am, listeners, if you haven't, I'll put links in the show notes. I interviewed Jamie's dad, Phill, over 2 amazing episodes to hear some amazing stories. So I'll put them in there. But he said, yes, you're right. The worst day can sometimes be the best on reflection. My worst day was going to base camp. I had a really bad headache and sickness and felt like lying down to die. This was also the actual best day on reflection, as it was so memorable for all sorts of reasons. Not sure about the worst day. Possibly the day I was hit by a motorbike in Bali and it twisted my Mercian frame because it would never be the same original bike again. Maybe it was the day I got back to the Dak bungalow near Lorelei in Pakistan, and Dave, my travelling companion, after complaining he wasn't feeling great and staying in bed while I went to the village for food, was lying on the floor wrapped up in his mozzie net looking like he was having a seizure. And I thought, he's about to die. After some frantic exchanges with the staff to go and get a doctor when he arrived after quite a traumatic hour, so he very calmly took his temperature, pronounced he had malaria, gave him some paracetamol and said he'd be fine in a day or 2, which he was. It was very scary. So, listeners, there's 2 things there. One, Phill can't have a short answer because he's got a story about everything. Love you, Phill. But also just the idea that sometimes the best day or the worst day, like he was talking about, he felt the absolute worst going to base camp, but that was also one of the best days. Like, do you think sometimes we look back at the Type 2 stuff as the best?
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, that's a philosophy that I think I live by, to be honest. Type 2 fun. It's often the best times that you have. Because like the hardest lessons that you learn in life stick with you the most.
Yeah.
So the hardest days which you have, they're going to remain in your memory a lot more. It's like Hans Stuck said on your podcast about how he used to sleep in rogue places when he wanted to remember a day.
Yeah.
Like I love that.
Did you take that on board, or was that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I sort of do the same thing, to be honest. Like even the other day when we were cycling through Australia, like me and Alfie slept in a toilet.
I saw that.
Yeah, and,
you had a great morning wake-up view.
That was a stupid idea. That was a terrible idea. And a part of me knew that it wasn't going to be a fun night at all. But then at the same time, I was thinking, yeah, but I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life.
I just thought of a horrible dad joke, but that's a different type of Type 2 fun.
That's a good one.
So, but do you think, you obviously have that experience with your dad of both of you now actually hauling your bikes up to base camp. He felt like obviously not a great day. Was that the same?
I mean, the Everest base camp I actually found a lot easier. It was the one which I really struggled with was Annapurna base camp.
Yeah.
The last day on Annapurna base camp was horrible because I was carrying the bike through the snow because it had a massive snowstorm the past week, so the path was completely blitzed with snow. And as we were walking up, you just kept on stepping down, and like the feet were going through. And obviously, I got a heavy rucksack on and a bike on top of that. So to get the force and the energy at that altitude to like step up on one leg to do a pistol squat up, and then 2 steps later you got to do it again. Yeah, that was a challenging day.
Do you feel, with the challenges of that day, do you feel more proud of getting to Annapurna or more proud of base camp?
I mean, they were completely different.
I remember this, and we've sort of discussed this already in a way. But
they're different challenges because, like, where like, we talked about this last time, but the Annapurna circuit, that was mostly cycling. Like there was a bit of pushing involved, but it was mostly cycling.
Yeah, you could actually have sustained turning of the pedals at points.
Yeah, so that was really nice. Then Annapurna Base Camp was basically just hiking with the bike. It wasn't really much riding at all. There were little sections which I could do, but unless I was on like a soft tail, I wouldn't be able to have ridden a lot of the sections. So, and obviously I'm on a 45-year-old road bike, so it's not ideal for it. But I rode as much as I could, and yeah, it was mostly carrying. And on the Annapurna circuit, Annapurna Base Camp, it's all like these huge steps. It's very steep stairs going straight up, and they're not small stairs. So you got to do these massive pistol squats. It was a gym workout every day just to get up there.
Brutal.
But the worst part was getting back down.
Yeah.
Getting back down was absolutely brutal on the knees. It was terrible.
How long did you both have to recover between?
We had about a week, like in between. Yeah.
A lot of dal bat to help.
Yeah, a lot of dalwa.
If you could see Malachi's face.
No dal bar after we got back. That was it. I was like, nah, I'm not going to eat this stuff ever again.
Malachi, what about you? Best day, worst day? Because we have to talk the superlatives because Phill took us there. I just want that on record. It was Phill, not me. But what about you?
I mean, if you're going to go worst day where I felt the like physical worst I've ever felt was probably that day in Turkey that when I was on my own and I got poisoning from the water. That was, horrific. It was, I met Jamie 2 days later. That was, and I was suffering for about a week, just completely lethargic, didn't have the energy. So that really knocked me back. So in terms of like worst for things like that, yeah, that was definitely the worst.
What about worst emotionally? Like physically, I could imagine that would deplete you. But what about, you remember when you were in India in Rishikesh for a few months? Yeah,
so look, that was, there were definitely times there that were very hard. You're kind of sitting there, you're kind of watching everyone else around you who you've cycled with just continue on with their journey. You're sitting there kind of like in the unknown, like, well, in the middle of India, in the mountains, like, well, am I actually going to be able to continue? So, yeah, that was a very hard time as well. And then Kazakh, yeah, I lost a friend during that time. And then...
That's got to be... Oh, I'm really sorry about that.
Yeah, and then the next day, Dragos was hit by a truck. So that was a very hard time as well, So I think towards the end of that, I was just like, get me out of this place.
The best adventure bike is the one that you already have. Now, while I'm here in Australia, mine is a dual suspension mountain bike and it has no fork mounts. I used to wonder how I would go carrying anything up the front of that bike without risking damaging the fork and the front suspension. That's where Old Man Mountain's axle pack comes in. It has fixed that problem instantly for me. The axle pack comes with an Old Man Mountain axle that you put onto your bike, and that means the load transfers through that axle and not your fork. This means I can add cargo cages and bags and pack extra water, layers, overnight gear, food, the lot, and take my bike off-road on the roughest of tracks and know it's not going to be damaged from that load at all. It has helped turn my dual suspension mountain bike, which I've already owned, into the perfect adventure bike for the routes that I am riding. Go to oldmanmountain.com to find out more. Support the brands that support this podcast. Now back to the episode. How is Dragos now, by the way?
Yeah, he's good. We actually spoke to him yesterday. He's back in Romania at the moment. He did a trip up north, up to the north of Europe on the bike. And yeah, well, we'll hopefully go and see him when back in Europe at some point.
And again, another example of a fast friendship made on the road, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, Dragos will always remain a friend. Can't wait to next see him.
Well, this handily brings me back to the next question. Not from Phill, but from another Hargreaves, from your brother Ollie.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a voice message. So, lads, I'm going to play it out for you, and then I'd like to hear your responses.
Jamie and Malachi, I want to start off by congratulating you both on completing such an epic journey. It's been a pleasure to watch and to see the amazing friendship you've both made along the way. Bella has asked me to send in a question for you both, so I've got two. First off, what is an item that you've brought on the trip that you wouldn't have been able to do without and that you've used more than you think you would have? And secondly, what is your opinion on cycling alone versus cycling with friends, seeing as you've both made such good friends along the way. Just want to get your opinions on how you found both and what the benefits were and what the difficulties were of each one. I hope by now you've both recovered from your massive celebration in Sydney. Congratulations again to you both.
There you go. Did you both hear that okay?
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good question. The piece of kit which I brought, which, my favourite piece is a little bit famous, but my ukulele.
Yes, I need to see the ukulele.
Yeah, that was kind of what most people would deem as an unnecessary item, but to me, I'm very glad I took it. Because, yes, it's extra weight, and it's a bit of a burden to bear, but at the same time, at the end of the day, when, I just want to relax for a bit and wind down, I can just play a little bit of music and have a little sing-a-song. Yeah, like when we were traveling through the desert in Kazakhstan and through Russia and stuff, we'd set up a fire and we'd sit around a fire and just play the ukulele, have a couple of beers, and it's so nice. It was a perfect addition to the trip.
Did you ever write songs?
I haven't wrote any songs, no, but I've learnt a lot of songs.
I was going to say if you were a singer-songwriter here.
No, but my last...
How do we not have the ukulele here for you to give me a strum?
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Actually, here's a request for you, Jamie. I'm
Yeah.
going to request that you somehow record a little ukulele segment for me, and I'll put it at the end of this podcast.
Okay. Well, I could send you the same clip. Yeah, on my final video when I arrived in Sydney, the backing track is actually me singing. It's me singing Chippy Tea by the Lancashire Hot Pots.
I love a chippy tea.
Yeah.
I actually joked with Malachi they didn't order us any chips here, but anyway. What about you, Malachi? Piece of equipment that you didn't think you'd use as much but was so valuable to you?
Ooh, didn't think I'd use as much.
Back to Ollie's question.
Not that I didn't think I'd use. My camera would be my one bit of kit that I would have.
It died on your trip. It used it that much.
It did. It did. Well, the other one broke as well now. It died on this one. So I've broken 2 cameras on this trip now. So, that's a bit rough. But one I didn't use that I didn't think I'd use. There's not too much that I brought that I didn't think I'd use.
It's an interesting question, actually, because most of the time you're asked, what product did you bring which you thought you'd need but you didn't use.
It's flipping it.
Yeah, so it's an interesting question because, for the vice versa, then I'd say the chair, because I brought a portable chair with me at the start and I never used it because it was just a faff. So,
Yeah, I'll give you the reverse of the one we didn't use is a stove.
Oh, really?
It's a stove. Yeah, I'll be honest with you.
Hang on. Malachi, was this just from a specific point in time? I could imagine cycling through Southeast Asia, you'd never cook or anything like that. But was this the whole trip?
To be honest with you, it's I think there was you'd go through phases, right? I went through my ramen phase, right? We both
the classic ramen phase.
We both went through the ramen phase.
Can we all just have a moment where we go ramen? Oh, okay.
Right, and then I was just like, nah, I'm over it. You know what? A tin of fish, tin of tuna.
Listeners, he just said that when I was having a swill of ginger beer. I nearly spat it into the microphone.
A tin of fish, bit of bread. It's the best. I look forward to it. I look forward to it so much, and that's what I've been eating for this whole leg of Australia now. It's just tuna and bread, and it's great. It's
the
best.
mercury levels are rising.
We looked it up. I was like, how many cans of tuna do you reckon it's safe to have in one day? Because I think I had 4 cans or something. And it was you can have 3 to 4 cans a week. And I was like, oh, shit, that's not great. But I've been doing this for almost a year now, so I'm all right, I guess.
Can you change it up? Could you have mackerel? Could you have
sardines? Yeah, you can have sardines. Yeah, I probably should. But they just have such a great selection of tin fish, the tin tuna. So you get the flavoured ones in olive oil. It's brilliant stuff. It's brilliant stuff.
Actually, the ones with olive oil come with their own seasoning through pasta as well, don't you think?
Yeah, they're great. I was blown away when I got here and I saw the tin fish selection. I was like, oh my, I was in heaven.
It is pretty
Me and
good.
Alfie were buying loads of tins and just sharing them, trying each other's tin fish. It was great.
I have to say, it's one of the things that me and my husband, we default to is camp pasta, and it's just easier with a tin of oily tuna and you can get little tins of beans or stuff like that.
Exactly. I got a mixed tuna and beans one the other day and I was blown away. I was like, this is perfect.
If you go to Aldi in Australia, they sell little cans of chickpeas or kidney beans with different herbs and flavourings.
Yeah. It's great. It's great.
So you're both wrong. The key is to get a tin of Heinz beans and a giant block of cheese.
Oh, I saw this.
Neck the beans, eat the block of cheese. It's perfect. Tons of calories, tons of protein.
And how do you feel about cold beans? Cold beans, hot beans?
I don't mind it, especially in Australia, because you have a tin of beans in a black pannier for the whole day. It's basically boiled by the end.
Very much so, especially... Well, actually, I'm going to put a little Malloy question on you here. So me and my husband, I have this question. So he's a huge apple pie fiend, and he doesn't mind having cold pie, like a cold apple pie, where I am like very much, apple pie for me should be hot. So are you hot pie or cold pie?
No, I agree with you. I think hot pie.
Yeah. What about you, Malachi?
I'm not fussy. I'd eat them both. Yeah. I don't mind a cold pie. Sometimes it's nice. Sometimes a cold pie is not too bad. You know, like a hot pie is always better, I must admit. But sometimes a cold pie hits different. You know, it's like, you know, it's been sitting there a little bit. It's quite nice. It's a time to settle and set. But yeah, I don't know.
The next question is, what's your condiment for the pie, for the apple pie? Like, what would you have? Would you have cream? Would you have ice cream? Do you have custard?
We stayed with a bloke the other day who gave us an apple pie, and he was like, you can have whipped cream, custard, and there was one more, wasn't it?
Ice cream?
And ice cream. He was like, you can have all three. And I was like, yeah, go on then. And that was it. Ultimate. It was like, you know, ultimate calorie overload there.
So I want to bring you back off food, and thank you, tick in my box. I have to talk about food on every podcast episode. But I bring us back to Ollie's second question, which is cycling alone v cycling with friends. And what did you think about there? Ollie's answer, because he's just finished his cycling leg. He cycled UK to Thailand, and a lot of that was done with people, actually, much like yourselves. So he said cycling alone v people. I found both to be really enjoyable in their own way. On your own, you've got complete freedom to go where you want, your own pace. You stop where you want and you do your own route, which is really nice. You also seem to be much more approachable by locals, so you end up interacting with them a lot more, meeting more local people, easier to find a camp spot. However, it does mean everything is completely up to you. If you're in trouble, you got to solve it yourself. You can sometimes miss things on the way. Others may know more cool places to see that you didn't know about, and the evenings can get a bit boring. You arrive, you pitch up, you cook, you sleep. Cycling with people is also brilliant because it splits responsibilities for decisions, where to go, what to cook, routes to take, making camping much more enjoyable because you can chat, more likely to get a beer. If you end up in trouble, there are more of you to solve the issue, but it also means you have to compromise on speed, distance, places to see, timings, etc., along with places you want to camp, which can make things difficult if people have very strong opinions on where they want to stay. So again, must be a Hargreaves thing. There's no short answers here. But he does bring some good points. It's like there's a compromise. You can have the companionship, which comes with a lot of positives, but sometimes also being on your own is positive. What have you both found?
I think, to be honest, I think he's pretty spot on with it. But, you know, for me, it's going to have to be cycling with someone over my own any day of the week. Like, you know, there's the enjoyment.
Brothers in arms.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have someone to share everything with, right? It's like, if I see something crazy on the street and it's like I turn around to Jamie or Jamie will turn around to me or whoever I'm with, and it's just like that, you know, that interaction, that shared moment, right? Because we still talk, me and Jamie, and he tells me stories and I tell him stories. I'm like, oh my God, I completely forgot about that. Completely forgot about it.
And it's also, you both would have been, you know, cycling the same places in certain times, but you have different experiences and different, like what you were experiencing impacted you differently. So the stories you swap also have a different lens on them too,
so
right?
For example, when I asked him about Cambodia, I was like, oh, so what did you think of Cambodia? He loved it. And I was like, oh, really? I was like, mate, I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Wow.
Yeah, but for me, it's got to be with people because, it's just, you know what I mean? It's just that companionship. Like, as he said, you're safer in numbers. You got stuff to share. You know, you can have that drink around the fire at camp at night and just chat, decompress about the day.
Shared memories as
Shared
well.
memories. There's a lot less anxiety surrounded by cycling on your with other people. Like, you know, I'm a little bit of an anxious person in general, so like cycling on my own, I can sometimes, you know, you overthink things a little bit more, whereas when you're with other people, you're a bit more relaxed, a bit more calm about things.
Did you ever want to drop in and out of that in a little way? Like, were there times where you just, real life brothers get frustrated with each other? Like, were there times within you, even with your friendship, where it would like, I'd really like some time just on my own and have my own space?
I think, to be honest with you, I don't think me and him have never had an argument.
Definitely brothers from another mother.
Yeah, like, funny enough, me and Jamie are very, very different people.
I'd noticed this straight away.
Different people, but like, you know, but also very similar in certain ways. So we just get, you know, it's one of those things. No, I don't, you know, we don't agree on every single thing, but I think we both have the understanding that, like, we don't have to agree on everything to get on. You know, we both have, you know, very firm believers in that, like, I'll have a conversation with anyone, even if we, have very different opinions. I'm still going to listen to what you have to say. So yeah, no, I mean, I don't think we've never had any issues, like that, and it could be like a 5-minute like thing that we don't agree on, but then like 5 minutes later something crazy happened and we're like laughing and having a joke around with each other. So it's like brothers, right? You get over these things very quickly. It's not like there's no grudges held ever.
No. What about you, Jamie, then? Back to Ollie's question, alone or with others? Like, again, because you have had... Well, actually, at the start of your trip, I think you had long sections on your own through Europe. And then there's been long sections with others as well. And then, obviously, another part of the factory is beautiful Ev, lovely girlfriend that you met in Vietnam?
In Vietnam, yeah.
There we go. So there's a different side on that as well. But how do you find it?
Yeah, so I left on this trip on my own. And for the first, over 3 months I was on my own, and I mean I loved it because I love my own space, I love my own time, and it meant that I could wake up whenever I wanted, I could have a slow morning, read a book, and do that sort of stuff. But then at the same time I was finding myself getting a bit sort of lonely through Europe, and I'd be sat drinking a beer in my tent on my own, and I'd end up calling my mates quite a lot because I was like, this is kind of a bit shit, not gonna lie. And
yeah, well, I think that's important to sort of talk about too, because nobody would ever look at your story and think of the real shit times either.
Yeah, no.
They're looking at you going, wow, look at him living his best life, seeing these places.
It's the parts which you don't see.
Yeah.
But then, obviously I've spent a lot of this trip as well cycling with people. So the first person I properly cycled with was Malachi. We got on like a house on fire. It was brilliant. And then obviously we met Dragos as well, and that was just a perfect sort of duo, because we were all sort of different in our own way, and we all sort of pushed each other to keep going. And like Dragos was pretty fast, he was pretty speedy.
He was a machine from what I've heard.
He was a bit of a machine, so
Dragos,
it was good for us because it
your
meant
reputation
that we were,
precedes you, mate.
it was good for us because it meant that we were sort of we kept on pushing bigger and bigger.
It's funny because I remember distinctly, because I interviewed Malachi on his own first before I'd interviewed you, Jamie, and I distinctly remember Malachi, you saying about Jamie, he really pushed you to push harder and faster and stuff as well. So it's interesting to hear, Dragos obviously taking that up a level for you both there as well.
But then it's also, so you're saying before about how you're sharing the moments throughout the day with each other and stuff. And I've cycled in two different ways with people, because when I bumped into Nick, the guy who I went through Afghanistan with, so he's this American lad from California, really nice bloke. And we were cycling through Afghanistan together but not together, because we were staying at the same places but we were leaving at different times throughout the day and cycling, and so like occasionally we'd meet up with each other for lunch or something like that, and then we'd end up at the same places. There weren't many days, I don't think, where we actually sort of cycled together. In Pakistan we did a bit more, but yeah, in Afghanistan we weren't, and it was actually a really interesting and nice way to travel, because it meant that at the end of the day, we'd meet up at the hotel, we'd go out to dinner, and we'd talk about our own different experiences throughout the day. Because you're getting two completely different experiences, but then you're also getting to reminisce, and reflect on the day.
There's also an aspect, and I've seen this, listeners, if you're someone who's thinking about travel, but, maybe you're not so sure you want to do something like this on your own, something you can look into is there are communities that do what they would call like rallies, and the one I'm thinking of straight away is the Komoot Women's Rally. So it's a women's one, and you can go into the ballot to be selected for that. And what that is there's a route that everyone rides multiple days, and you know where you're starting and finishing on that day. But there's no pressure to cycle together. If you want to, you can, but you can set off at your own time, at your own pace. So you experience that in your own way. But then you also have the collective knowledge of you're sharing the same place at night with others. You can swap stories with others. If something goes wrong, there might be someone around to help. So that's not a bad thing either. That's sort of what you're talking about in a very different but similar way.
Yeah, so it was really nice because it meant that you could do things at your own pace. So you get the joy of doing like all the good parts from cycling alone, like going at your own pace and doing what you want and all that side of it. You get that, but then at the same time you also get the company side at the end of the day, which it was really nice. It was an interesting way to do it because I hadn't ridden like that before.
Yeah. Something that I want to ask, and it's actually a question for you, Malachi, because I think, Jamie, you're too much in the journey still to have had this happen yet. But Malachi, when you did arrive, I think were you based in Brisbane?
Yeah, I've been in Brisbane, yeah.
So you'd stop your trip and that's it. How was that time when you did come to an end? And what I'm talking about is, I've talked about it extensively throughout the year. I've asked every guest about post-adventure blues, what it's been like to deal with when an adventure comes to a close. How have you found that for yourself?
Yeah, it's quite a surreal experience, especially coming from, not being in a first world, like very Western society, and then arriving back in a place like Australia. That was very surreal. Took a lot of getting used to. And at first I was like, I hate this. Like, I hate being here. I don't like what's going on. And yeah, it took a bit of getting used to. After a while you kind of get in the swing of things and you get that routine. But like, and that was, I think I needed that for a little bit. I needed that for a couple months just to like decompress, gather myself and figure out what it was that I wanted and where I was going. And then I got that phone call from Jamie like, yo, mate, I'm going to be here in 2 weeks and I'd love you to cycle with me. And I was like, mate, I'm there. I'll quit my job. I'm going to come now. That's it. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
And
so it was sort of taking you back to
it was
the
just
high
like
feeling.
instantly, like, because at that point I was like, you know what, I'm ready. Just get me back. Get me out of here now. I'm bored.
Because actually, Jamie, I remember before the decision to go from Brisbane to Sydney was there, I think you put a poll, should we go... Was it Brisbane to Sydney or Brisbane, or which way should we go? Where should we cycle?
So it was going to be either Brisbane to Sydney or Sydney to Melbourne.
Yeah.
But like solely for the reason that I did catch wind that there's a derby in Tasmania, and I was gonna potentially, I was gonna cycle
We
down.
talked about this actually.
Yeah, I was gonna cycle down to Melbourne and then get a ferry across and finish in Derby in Tasmania. But plans changed, and like I'm so glad I went to Brisbane because it meant that I could meet up with Malachi.
Yeah, because I was going to say, did that influence the idea of going from Brisbane? Was like Malachi joining you part of the influence there?
Yeah. And then obviously we also had Alfie join in Brisbane. So yeah, like I'm so glad it panned out the way it did for the Australia stint. It was the perfect ending, really. It really was.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess Malachi, was it sort of unexpected for you? Like, was your trip over up until that point?
No, I think in my mind it was never over. Like,
and I mean, it's still going. You're planning on going to Melbourne now.
Yeah,
aren't you?
yeah. So I am. I'm still going to keep going now. I didn't know it was a very weird time for me because it was kind of like just this very abrupt end of, oh, okay, I'm just going to stop now. In my head, it was not done. In my head, I always planned that I have to cycle Australia. Like, I can't be in this country, cycle to all the way across the world and not cycle Australia. I just never had an idea of when it was going to be, what I was going to do, how I was going to do it. And then obviously I got that phone call and I was like, well, this is the best opportunity I'm ever going to get right here. Like this, I've got to do this. And then, I've spent this last 11 days cycling, and it's like I was saying to you earlier, it's just reignited that passion for when I first got on that bike going through Europe and like Turkey. And it's like, well, I'm here now. I may as well just keep going, right? Like,
Yeah.
keep going. And I think you need that break sometimes just to gather yourself and almost be grateful for what it was you actually had when you were on the road. Because I think sometimes, look, Southeast Asia is not an easy place to cycle.
That's interesting because I have people tell me if someone wants to try and go to Thailand, it's one of the best places to start from. But so, like, do you see both sides of that coin?
Thailand is good for cycling. I only did a little small stint in Thailand cycling anyway. But that small stint I did down to Koh Tao there was beautiful, like awesome. Actual cycle lanes again, nice hard shoulder. It's just hot. The humidity is. The heat is the biggest challenge out of everything.
Killer,
I found. It was not the roads, not the people, not the traffic. It was purely the
heat.
extreme heat.
Cycling
it was,
from one 7-Eleven to the other to get some ice,
it was
right?
just different. Like, look, we cycled in Turkey in 45-degree heats,
It's
right?
dry
And
heat.
I never and I was fine. Whereas, I mean, going through Laos, I think we both said it's just like some of the worst heat we ever had.
And actually, funnily enough, it reminds me, I interviewed you when you just arrived in Laos, I think.
Yes,
And
yeah.
I remember from there, it was just an absolute sweat misery fest. I think, Malachi, you nearly ended up with heat stroke.
Oh no, I got heat stroke. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
heat stroke. So that was a hard day actually. That was a really rough day. We had woke up at like 4 a.m. because we had some stupid climb to do. Louis, the other bloke, one of Jamie's mates who was cycling, got food poisoning that night. So him and Harry were both like, listen, mate, we're not going to make it. We're going to have to get a bus. So me, Jamie and Luke jumped on the bikes 4 o'clock in the morning. I think we got to the climb at like 5. And it was just stupid. It was just one of the most stupid climbs I've ever done, ironically. And then we did the climb, started descending, and then it was just more climbing. I think it probably got up to like 40 degrees and you're looking at 80% humidity. So it's just like, it's not even, you shouldn't even be out in the sun. I think we all felt sick.
Listeners, if you absolutely love this podcast and you love tuning into the stories that I bring to you each and every week, you can help me and support the show by heading to buymeacoffee.com/Seek Travel Ride. Shout me a few virtual coffees and keep this podcast rolling. Back to the episode.
We literally couldn't move. It was awful. Yeah, we were sort of stuck underneath this shelter. We were hiding from the sun underneath the shelter in this random person's gaff. And we were just thinking, well, we sort of talking to each other, and we sat there for about 2 hours, didn't we? From about 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and we were just, we were sick of it. So we just decided that we were going to hitchhike for the last bit to Luang Prabang because it genuinely wasn't safe to cycle in it.
That's
because it was just too hot. It was too hot.
Like that's a point where just common sense just prevails, doesn't it? Like there's an element. Had both of you lost the mantra of having to cycle every single kilometre by then? Or do you either of you have that mantra to begin with?
By that time, it was still, for me, it was definitely it was a hard decision to do that, to hitchhike that section. Yeah, I mean, up until that point, I'd got in the back of a van through Russia. We had to get a van through because we were in the middle of a sandstorm and we couldn't get through. It was far too dangerous. And then I think other than that, there was one other time that we hitchhiked. So I'd only hitchhiked twice through some sections. And then after that, since then, there's been a couple of different times where we've had to, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm a lot more relaxed on it now than I was at the start of the trip.
Yeah. What about you, Malachi? Was that ever something for you?
For me, it was never a thing. I think for me, it's a little bit of a toxic trait that comes with the bikepacking community that I have to cycle every single kilometer. I can't fly. And there's this almost hierarchy of people I find with that.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that as an interviewer. But what I will say is I've also interviewed a lot of people that want nothing to do with that. This is my journey and I'm going to do the bits that I want to, yeah. Yeah,
so look, each their own. I have mad respect for the people that do that. It just depends what you're after, right? I just wanted to see the world. I wanted a journey and I chose to do it on a bicycle. It's not because I'm, a hardcore cyclist, right?
Yeah.
We're not hardcore I love bicycles. I love riding my bike, but I'm
hardcore. I'm not hardcore cyclist.
We're hardcore, but not hardcore cyclists, right? So yeah, I was never hung up on that. And I think, you know what? Sometimes you just got to do it, right? Like Jamie said, we were in a sandstorm. Had we continued cycling, one of us could have died. We could have get hit by a truck. We were talking 50 mile an hour winds from the side on blowing us into the road with no hard shoulder.
Worst type of wind, right?
Yeah, and you've got these double lorries driving past you, and it's there was a couple moments where I was I could have been gone.
We both nearly got hit 5 times within the space of about an hour.
Well, I think that's actually
by
one
massive
of the
trucks going past, and it was just not worth it at all. I remember stopping by a sign and I was waiting for Malachi because Dragos had carried on because he was on a much lighter bike, so he wasn't getting pushed around by the winds quite so much as we were. And we were being absolutely brutalized and pushed right across the road, past the middle lane. It was awful. Yeah, it just wasn't worth it. And this guy had pulled over in a van and he was saying do you want to get in the back of the van? And I was like, yeah. It's probably a good idea actually, just for this stretch, just to get through.
There's some pretty sketchy tunnels and stuff around through there as well.
The Jordan, Russia, we were the tunnel going from Georgia down to the Russian border. I actually had a really bad crash going into that.
Whoa.
Because it's
like my nightmare personified.
There's no lights in there at all, and it's pitch. You can't even see your hand in front of your face. So
it's
I go
scary.
in thinking you might be able to see, and then I'm like, oh shit, actually I can't see anything. And then so I try to slow down to get my head torch out, and as I'm doing that, hit a massive pothole and just veered off straight into the side of the wall. I was okay, but it's tunnels. I don't like tunnels. I don't think anyone likes cycling in the old tunnels.
Not ones that you can't see through that are prolonged.
No.
Oh, actually, I think there's some of them are really, really smoggy and polluted and stuff as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a cool ones we did actually, a little side top, it was in the Karanlik Canyon in Turkey.
That came up as your favourite place when I first interviewed you.
Yeah. That was awesome. That was so cool.
The pics from that look good.
Yeah. We were actually talking about this the other day, saying that's it's probably some of the best pictures we got there, right? But that was awesome. But again, like, that was just a gravel track, and we couldn't see. He didn't have a head torch with him. We couldn't get it out of his bag. So
No, I think it was. Yeah, sorry, my batteries are completely dead. So I didn't have a head torch, and I was just sort of cycling behind Malachi, and there's dust kicking up and all sorts. But yeah, there's basically no traffic through it, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
that was quite fun.
But again, I think of the images from those, and they're not sort of thoughts that, I'd never thought that place in Turkey like that could, that Turkey could look like that. And I know that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
I've seen some amazing images from Turkey people, but this podcast just continually, I guess, educates me on the world in that way. It's one of the best parts of it. I feel like I've vicariously travelled to many, many countries because of people's stories. But did you know it existed before you'd arrived there?
I had no idea. So look, listen, I had no idea about 90% of what Turkey was. Like, I went in there very blindly. Jamie had a better idea because his dad had obviously cycled through and done a lot of motorbike touring there. So it was actually Phill that kept coming out with these bloody corkers for us that were just these amazing, amazing days. And listen, I'll still say it now. I think Turkey is probably one of the most diverse countries in terms of landscape that I got to see. It's kind of got every single biome almost in.
Yeah, I mean, everyone sort of thinks of Turkey as just being the western side of Turkey. But in actual fact, when you go inland, like into the little parts in the middle of nowhere, that's where you find the most stunning spots.
I've also heard that the hospitality increases as you row further east as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it really does. It's outstanding. Like, it's amazing. I think that was the first sort of country where we experienced proper hospitality.
Yeah, lots of cups of chai.
Yeah, lots of tea. They do love a good tea. I stayed with a family when I was sort of heading around back from Istanbul, back around the coast towards Çanakkale. I ended up staying with this guy and his parents it's sort of towards Çanakkale. I can't remember what the town was called. And he invited me for a cup of tea. And I had a cup of tea with him, and then about 20 minutes later, brought out another tea. 20 minutes later, brought out another tea. And I ended up asking him, how many cups of tea do you actually go through a day? Like, how many do you drink? Because this is too much for me.
Hang on, a Brit just said... an Englishman has just said he had too many cups of tea.
But yeah, and I asked him how many, and he said 25.
Whoa.
Is about the average amount that he has a day.
Are they in those little tiny chai glasses, though?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's that, like 100 mils? But still, that's like 2.5 litres of tea.
Yeah, but they also put like 3 sugar cubes in each tea.
I've been to Turkey, and I can't even do that. Like, when I first went, because I would normally have my tea with a dash of milk.
Yeah.
In fact, how do you guys have your tea?
I have it with a dash of milk, actually.
Dash of milk?
I like a dash of milk.
So I don't actually drink tea usually. Like, back in England, I don't drink.
But in Turkey, you drink a lot.
In Turkey, that's when I fell in love with tea. Was that, and I'll drink it black. Yeah, black with three sugars as well. I'll do it like the Turkish people.
Yeah, I can't do the 3 sugars. I found when I was there, I could do like one of the sugars, and then I used to feel really proud of myself. By the end of the week, I could just have half. I also really love just dissolving it in. So you know what I'm talking about, don't
it's
you?
great to take a video of it as well. You chuck it in, do a little stir as well. But yeah, no, I
Sometimes
fell
I'd
in love
hold
with
the
the chai.
cube up at the top and just watch the little sugars just float down.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I fell in love with Turkish tea, and it was still probably my favorite tea to have. I love drinking it all the time. And then, obviously, Indian chai is completely
Very
different.
They aerate their teas
and it's
too,
that's milk, and that's got like loads of different spices in there.
Yeah.
Completely different kind of tea.
What about in Nepal? Is it different again?
Same thing.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
And then you go to Vietnam, and it's all about the coffee.
Coffee. Oh yeah, Vietnamese coffee. My favorite was the Vietnamese salt coffee.
It's different.
I don't know what they do with it, but
Yeah.
like that shit has got so much caffeine in it, and it's just hardcore. It's like you have 2 of those, and you're ready to take on the whole day. You're ready to take on the whole day. I stopped drinking energy drinks when I was there. I think it was just coffee at that point.
In our last get-together, lads, you just come off the big Nepalese challenge, and we can all agree, especially sat here at the table now with hindsight, that was something that was physically extremely draining. It took quite a lot out of you. I want you to put that to the side. What are other moments then where you just thought, where you really needed maybe each other to say, come on, we can do today? Like, where the motivation maybe to go out and cycle the day wasn't there?
For me, Central Asia, again, like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, just because of
The desert?
just the desert, it's a lot. And then the just the intense headwinds that we had to deal with on a daily basis, it was just almost, soul destroying. It's just like, you're just so drained, so tired. And it's just like, you wake up, same thing again, just like, I've got to deal with this again.
What about you, Jamie?
I mean, I think for me, it's the same. The desert in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, that was pretty brutal. And getting up every day and battling the wind. And that was tough because, you don't get a break. Because as soon as you stop, you're still being battered by the wind and there's no shelter around to protect you. So it's really mentally draining. And other than that, in actual fact, recently, actually, going up Mount Bromo, that was you've already spoke to Fergie before about it, and like how he had a tough time going up, and it was the same thing for me. It was a brutal climb. It really was. Like
I've
the last
only
10
heard
kilometers,
that it's about brutal, and actually, there's a Northern Irish lady that I interviewed as well, Jessie Brown. Jessie, you're a legend. She's actually on Svalbard, which is, I think it's part of Norway. It's one of those places in the world where it's 6 months of darkness. So she's a researcher, but she had the same. Bromo, same as you guys, same as Fergal, was the same. Like, it's an absolute brute of a climb, right?
It was, it was brutal. I mean, the last 10 kilometers, we went up 1,000 meters of elevation.
With the heat and humidity that comes with it in Indonesia,
and
right?
also we had the bags on. We had all the bags on. Like Fergie, I was speaking to Fergie before going up it and like asking him how it was and stuff, and he was like, like maybe you should just leave your bags at the bottom. Like it might be a lot easier. And unfortunately, we couldn't do that because we were cycling through. So couldn't be doing that, but. Yeah, cycling up there with a 70-kilogram bike, it was pretty brutal.
That's with Ev as well. How did she go?
Yeah, and obviously, I was about to mention that as well. Like Ev hasn't done any cycle touring before coming on this, and
she's a legend.
She had a weighted bike, and I think when we were going through Indonesia, I was like, my dad went up over Mount Bromo. We're going to go through Mount Bromo. We're going to cycle through the crater. She was really up for it.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone here listening to it has never heard about Bromo, I mean, just put a Google image it, and it is spectacular.
Mm-hmm. And it was really tough. And I think she found it really, really hard. Like, so did I. Don't get me wrong. Like, I found it hard, and she was an absolute trooper. She smashed it out of the park. And we got to the top at like 6 o'clock at night or something. It was getting dark, and it was really cold at the top. It pissed it down with rain the entire day.
Whoa.
And that's not normally a problem in Indonesia because it's so hot. The rain doesn't really
bother you. You're already wet from the sweat clothes anyway, right?
You're wet, but you're warm. But then when you're going up Mount Bromo, obviously you're going up to like 2,000 something odd meters, so it's cold up at the top. So it was like entering back into England, and I was in a t-shirt and shorts. I ended up having to I had a little poncho on because my waterproof isn't waterproof anymore. And I ended up putting a poncho on, and that actually really helped because it acted like a sweat vest, and it sort of kept the heat in. So it was really good. Luckily, I ever had a waterproof that actually worked. It was miserable. It was absolutely miserable, and like a lot of the sections on it, they're insanely steep. Like I don't know if anybody's been to Indonesia, but some of the roads there you don't find them like that in the West. They're terrible. They're like 25% gradient.
Did you cycle through Albania?
I didn't actually, no. I didn't cycle through Albania.
Because I've heard Albania has got some pretty steep roads like that too.
Yeah, Albania's got a couple rough climbs. I remember doing pretty rough climb from Albania, at the end of the day.
Just hang on, interlude, and I don't know if you can hear the bangers that have been playing in this pub, by the way. It's been taking me right back through the 80s and the 70s, but there's a little pigeon walking through the pub. Anyway, as you were, Malachi.
Yeah, there's a couple rough climbs in Albania. Arguably, I'd say Montenegro was probably worse. The climbs, that was pretty rough as well. Like going in from Montenegro into Albania, that was pretty hard as well.
Oh, wow.
I remember the climb going up, and it was hot. Like that year of Europe was boiling. It was so hot. It was like 35 degrees, really high humidity again. And but Albania, an awesome country, really cool country. Completely different to anywhere I'd been in Europe before as well. It was the one really standout, like that felt really separated from Europe.
Yeah, we're culturally separated.
Culturally
as well.
very different. The people were so friendly, actually, like so incredibly friendly. Really, really lovely people. It's a country I would 100% go back to and explore a bit more of, especially the coast, because we didn't get to do the coast. We did Albania, and then we cut up into North Macedonia.
Wow. Actually, something, Malachi, because if my memory serves me correctly, you like a little bit of off-road riding as well in terms of your bike, like mountain biking or gravel riding or something. Trans-Dinarica, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's an amazing bikepacking route system right throughout the Balkans there.
Okay, yeah, no, I've not heard of that. No, but yeah, I mean, look, I love my gravel, and I think Jamie as well. Jamie loves his gravel riding.
On your old Steel Mercian there, how is the Black Pearl?
She's not gonna lie, the components are falling apart. The frame's perfect. the Mercian part's brilliant, but yeah, all the rest of it,
She will live on after this adventure.
Away, yeah. Oh, yeah, she will be.
Hang on. We need to go back there. When you say you're going to throw it away,
no.
You're replacing the parts.
The components to save weight for the flight back to England.
Maybe you need to auction some of them off, raise some money or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know, but
they might be worthless.
Yeah, they're probably they are worthless, believe me. But yeah, I'm taking the Mercian back to the Mercian workshop when I get back. And
will it stay there?
No, we're going to kit it up and respray it and stuff, and I'm putting that bike into retirement now.
Yeah.
She's deserved it. Yeah, I'm going to put it into retirement, and it's going to be a sunny track day type of bike.
I think your dad does the same with his Mercian, doesn't he?
He doesn't ride it that much.
He rides it on nice days.
Yeah, literally the same thing. It's a sunny day bike.
God, something magic for me to do. Come and visit you one day and go out for a ride together with your dad.
Oh yeah, that'd
two
be
Mercians.
Awesome.
I don't have a Mercian, so maybe I need to visit you first. But I want to take you back to Bromo and talk about Ev being there as well. So something ridiculously hard that, it's one thing to be ridiculously hard to people who have cycled from the UK. Ev had done a bit of cycling to that point, to be fair, because she joined you there from Vietnam and you cycled together. What was it like for her? Like, I don't want you to speak for her specifically, but what did you feel for her when you were going up there?
I think it was a really good challenge for her.
Yep.
And pushed her like beyond her comfort zone, like for sure. And I was really happy to get to witness that.
Yeah.
Because when we got to the top, I remember like giving her a big hug, and she really struggled, but she pushed through it.
And then you had the moment there the next day, seeing the sunrise. You rode through the caldera, I think, or some. Because actually, this is something I didn't realise about Bromo. Is it's not just one sort of peak.
No,
there's a
huge.
setting of them.
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah, so the first day, which was the hardest day, obviously, that was getting up to the brim. So that was getting up to the brim of the volcano, and that's where the hard day was, and we struggled, and we got up to the top, and then we ended up camping underneath this little shelter, and we woke up for the sunrise the next day, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was amazing. And then, the next day we rode through the caldera and went around. So you've got the massive outer rim, and then you've got on the inside is the Mount Bromo, which sort of everyone knows of. And the track that goes through the middle, it's all sand. Well, say sand, it's ash. It's all just ash sand. I'm not going to lie, that was horrible to cycle through because my bike was just sinking in. I mean, both the bikes were sinking in. It wasn't fun.
Can I ask, what's the width of your tyres?
I'm on 28s.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Probably lucky you didn't go through the Pamirs, maybe, Jamie.
Yeah.
Mind you, the places that you've taken it to, right?
He did Nepal on it, so the fact that he did that, I'm there with my 48 mils. I'm like, this is pretty chunky, but I'm okay. And I'm watching him. I'm like, I don't even know how he's doing this.
Well, hang on. Can I talk practicalities here? Like punctures, rather. Actually, you know how Ollie had said what was the piece of equipment you didn't think you'd use so much, but you're thankful you had? His answer, his own personal answer, was his bike pump, his Lezine bike pump, because he's had so many punctures and it saved him. 28s on the terrain that you've taken. For those who don't know what we're talking about, size of the tyres, 28s. It's not very wide. Very thin.
Very thin.
Did you have a lot of punctures?
No. Punctures weren't a problem because I had the Marathon Plus tyres. Like they are that's the one piece of kit. Like I'm not sponsored by them or anything.
No.
But I genuinely stand by them. They are amazing.
Yeah.
The only time, so I think I had about 3 punctures until I got to Southeast Asia, like over the entire trip, which is kind of insane. That
is. I was going to say through Nepal as well, although to be fair, there's also sections in Nepal where the bike wasn't being ridden; it was sort of being hiked. Right? Yeah. Wow.
But, and then when I got to Southeast Asia, I had a series of sort of unfortunate events with punches, but
Mechanicals is something you both experienced. Malachi, you were unfortunately in an accident there, and your forks were bent from that as well, weren't they?
Yeah, in Vietnam. Funny, I think it was the official 1 year on the road, the day. and I was super excited for it. And I think I'd been cycling for maybe an hour. And then on a downhill section, there was a moped in front of me, and he just decided to stop in the middle of the road to have a conversation with another guy in the middle of the road. And I happened to be just looking down for a split second and went straight into the back of him, bent my forks. Wasn't actually rideable anymore, but it was right in front of a shop. All the locals, the guy on the bike didn't care. He actually found it quite funny, which was bizarre.
That's horrible. And if my memory serves me correctly, was this just when you first had split off and you were on your own then?
Yeah, so me and Jamie had split off for a little bit at this time already, and then I was cycling with Louis, and he had left the night before. So yeah, this is like my first day being on my own again. And yeah, that happened. But to be honest with you, it really wasn't as bad as it sounds. Like, the people at the shop came together. They got me a lift. They chucked me in the back of a truck. Firstly, they wanted to put me on a moped with my bike. They were like, yeah, we can chuck your moped on the bike. I was like, no, you can't. This weighs more than the moped, I'm pretty sure. And
of course, it's not just the bicycle, it's the panniers
it's everything,
as well, right?
yeah.
Sorry, I've got an introductory here. I believe they definitely could have got it on.
Yeah.
On the top of Mount Bromo, we saw the most horrific thing I've ever seen in my life. Somebody was putting a moped on the back of a moped.
Whoa!
And they strapped it down with ratchet straps and then rode down the steepest hill I have ever climbed up. It was absolute madness.
I wonder if that's just a day in the normal life, like...
Yeah, I mean, it seems like kind of average stuff over there, to be honest. It was outrageous.
Where's the place where you saw the most craziest stuff? Oh my God, I'm going for the superlatives again, but like stuff that would have totally, like, you go, what, WTF am I actually seeing?
India, you see some pretty crazy stuff.
You didn't even hesitate.
Nah,
with that.
India, Nepal. I mean, as soon as you kind of get to that Asian side there, it gets a bit, free for all. They kind of do what they want. They just chuck everything on the back of their motorbikes and trucks like that.
Yeah.
Vietnam's pretty crazy for putting stuff on the back of their bikes and trucks like that.
And scooters and stuff as
yeah,
well.
it's just, it's crazy. But like, you know what I mean? It's fine. I've never had any issues with it other than that crash. And like I was saying before, it was fine. I got a bus to Saigon, and the next day I went to a bike shop, and it just so happened to be a Marin supply shop. So they had all Marin bits.
Which is what your bike is?
Which is what my bike is. And they had the right forks for me, fitted them, even changed my spoke, had a snap spoke, changed my spoke, all free of charge. No, like nothing. Like, they were just like, nah, it's fine, take it, man.
That's amazing. And I imagine that's like just one example of many things that were done for you by complete strangers,
Yeah,
right?
it blew me away. I was so shocked at that time because I'd gone there, showed them the bike, told them what was up, and they were like, yeah, we've got this fork, really nice silver forks, almost exactly the same as I think this one's actually might even be a steel fork, whereas my other one was a chromo.
Ah, okay, yeah.
No, I'd never put carbon on my bike.
No, not the way that you ride it.
Yeah, so, and then they put it on, and I didn't even ask at the time how much. I was just like, I need this now, like, just, sort it, put it on. And then I was like, listen, mate, how much do I owe you? He's like, nah, it's good, bro.
Wow.
For free, just go on. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, and they were really lovely blokes as well. They were so nice.
Can you remember the name of the bike store? Will you shout them out?
No, I can't actually remember that. No, I got it from. So Louis had been in contact with some other American guy who was living, I think, in Saigon at the time, and he was trying to sell his bike, and he was put into contact with someone else who was selling like steel forks and stuff like that. So I contacted that bloke with the steel forks, and he was like, "Oh no, go to this shop here." I was like, okay. So I went to that shop, and it was just like, yeah, it's in a really weird location. Like, you wish you wouldn't stumble across it.
You'd never think of it.
No, you wouldn't really find it. And yeah, I think it was like, four Vietnamese blokes in there, a bunch of Marin bikes, and their workshop was, and they just, I think within half an hour it was done. That was it. They were a great bunch of lads, and a massive blessing, because at the time I was really struggling with money, and like I was like, oh, this is really going to set me back a bit now. Yeah, such a massive blessing. Really great for that experience.
It takes me back to I recently I released episode 150 a few weeks ago, and when I say that, I've nearly done 250 episodes all up, but 150 long form episodes, which listeners are the ones I release on a Saturday, and I sort of reflected on what are the big learnings that I have gauged and sort of reflected on from hearing the stories from people like you and telling me about your journeys. And one of them is that the road will provide, that things will have a way of working things out. Whenever you think it's over, there's always a solution and you will find a way.
Without a doubt. And that's been a massive learning curve for me as well. Like, just, you know, again, like I said, like being a little bit anxious about stuff, but then being on the road, now I'm just like, oh, you know what, it's fine. Like, for example, now I think I've got like $3,000 in my bank right now, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to Melbourne. I'll cycle down to Melbourne. I've got no other plan. I've got nowhere to stay really. So I'm just like, you know, I'll figure it out.
But
It'll be all right.
you will figure it out.
And I know I'll figure it out. Like, maybe it'll be hard. There'll be harder times, but that's just life, right? Like, you know, you just got to roll with the punches.
Can I ask, did you have that mindset before you set off?
No. No, I think, no, not nearly to what I have now.
Yeah.
Not nearly to what I have now. And, you know, I even say I thank Jamie for this, because Jamie's a pretty chill guy. He's a pretty laid back guy with stuff. Like,
Pretty chill guy.
yeah. You know, I would say I'm maybe a little bit more of the stressy one out of the both of us, where I'm like, my mind kind of goes to the worst place before the best place. Like, I'm kind of always like more worst case scenario.
Malachi, you're a brother from another mother for Bella.
I'm always like worst case scenario, where Jamie's just like, you know what, mate, I'm sure it'll be all right. We'll figure out when we get to that milestone.
So
and
that's
like,
something that's changed for you. Because
yeah, for sure.
So I did reach out to Fergal. I know that we've already asked a question, but Fergal did send a message for you both. And his question his original one was, hey, Jamie, Malachi, massive congratulations finishing such an incredible journey across the world. You have seen countries and cultures most people only dream about, and living these experiences for yourself can't help but change you. When you think back to how you were at the start, how has the journey changed both of you and the way that you see the world? So, I mean, that's sort of one of those changes there, Malachi, like trusting that things will be okay.
Yeah, just trusting the process, that, like, you know, no matter what, you know, things will work out. How, you know, and yeah, sometimes it's hard, you know, but I think that's just life, right? It's like again, climbing to Mount Everest. Like, climbing up was hard. It was the most physically hard, like, difficult thing I've ever done in my entire life. But
especially off the back of doing the Annapurna base camp as well.
Yeah, but arguably the most rewarding thing I've ever done, and has helped me as a person grow so much and show me how much I can actually do if I put my mind towards it.
Do you think then, if I think of when we go back to Fergal's question, what have you reflected has changed the most about you? Do you think it's been that injection of self-confidence through the act of doing hard things?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I think, you know, now I just kind of look at these challenges like, yeah, you know, I'll manage. There's always a way, right? There's always a way. And I think just us as humans, that we are capable of so much more than we actually think we are. Yeah, if you put your mind towards something, I think you will do it. You'll get there.
Yeah.
If you believe enough, you will get there.
Yeah.
And it's just having that faith in the process and trusting it.
That you can do it. What about you, Jamie? Back to Fergal's question. Like, I realised you only just arrived in Sydney a few days ago, but even reflecting back on Jamie that left from the town square there in Derby, what's been one of the biggest changes for you?
Well, I mean, yeah, sort of the same thing about the ability to deal with shit that hits you. You know, the thing, because stuff goes wrong.
Being able to cope.
Stuff inevitably goes wrong, and it always will do. And yeah, traveling across the world, it really, because you get put in these situations quite regularly where everything is going wrong, and you kind of just have to deal with it because there's no other way around it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to face the problem head on, and force your way through it, and then you come out of it, and you're like, you know what? That wasn't actually too bad.
Yeah.
Like, in my head, that was built up far worse than it actually was. And then, yeah, you sort of get through these things and realise that your ability to deal with things is far greater than you think it is.
Wow. Do you know what's really interesting there? And both of you have that experience and that learning, which I think is amazing. And I'd say there's a fair few people who are bike travelling right now or have done one who could 100% resonate. That was something that came out from your dad when I interviewed him. I remember him saying that in life after he had returned from 4 years on the road, something would happen and maybe your mum would be, oh, Ali, I don't want to drop you in this, maybe you weren't, but if I'm remembering the story rightly, maybe something that could be normally very stressful, and he was pretty cool as a cucumber. And she'd say, how come? And he goes, oh, because we'll figure it out. And that was his learning as well.
That's actually, well, I'm going to be speaking on Ev's behalf, but that was kind of the same thing when we were travelling around. Like, something would be going wrong, and like, you know, I'm just like, we'll figure it out. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, we'll find a place to stay.
Do you know how, listeners, I don't want to say that I'm too old. I've got a few grey hairs popping up now, but I am older than both of you here by a number of years. And I just can't think how amazing that is as a gift to have given yourselves at the age that you both are, to be able to take that forward in the life that you're living now. Like, that is such a huge life lesson to be self-aware of.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, what we've learned on this trip and what we've experienced has aged us, really.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you grow wisdom through age and experience. Those are the two ways. And what we've done hasn't been that much time, but the amount of experience that we've had through it.
A lifetime of experience in a very short space of time.
Yeah. Like, we lived 4 lives within 1 year. It's amazing.
Did you have a concept that this could have been a case before you set off? That you would get so much experience and a lifetime of learnings and experience in such a short period of time?
Yeah, I did know that, actually. I remember saying to my mum before I left, we went on a little walk around Derbyshire, sort of 2 days before I left or something, sort of a final goodbye. And I remember saying to my mum at the end of it, I said, I hugged her and I said, remember me as I am now, because you're never going to see this version of me again. And
Liz Malachi sort of cringing, going, oh.
So that's just such a horrible thing to say to your mum in a way. I don't know. Like, as you're about to cycle across the world, that's such a Jamie thing to say. It's such a Jamie thing to say.
Is it because...
It's true, that it's true, because I'm not the same person.
No.
You know, you're coming back as a different person. You really are. Like, although it's still you, but it's a different version of you. Upgraded, I'd say. You know, it's not like I'm coming back a worse person. Yeah, so...
No, I get what you mean. But also, like Malachi, you sort of actually put the very human side of the story, because, you know, there are family that you cycle away from that you don't see. I think that can be a real challenge for people sometimes as well. And perhaps the benefit of having friends found on the road and doing things together is you do take yourself out from your family, from your friends, from your community day to day to do something like this as well. And I guess in the low moments, that's when you miss them the most, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you know, I mean, I'm very close to my parents, so we have a very good relationship still. And, you know, we still spoke most weeks and things like that. So we still got to staying in communication with each other. And funny enough, they came to Australia about a month and a half ago now. So I got to see them for the first time.
Mega experience to see them for the first time.
Yeah, it was lovely. It was a really nice time. Well overdue.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, you know, I've definitely changed as a person. At least I've experienced a lot more things. I still look at myself like I'm the same person almost. I think I look at situations in a different way, but I still think that I'm the same person. And I remember meeting my brother on Koh Samui, and he's just like, yeah, you're the same, mate. You've not changed. You're just the same old guy. You know, he didn't think anything of it. It's just like, yeah,
internal change.
Yeah, it's the way
how you think.
Yeah, it's the way I think. It's the way you maybe deal with a certain situation,
Totally.
and I don't think the way I act is any different. I think I'm still the same Malachi. You know what I mean? It's just I've experienced different things that have helped shape me to who I am now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you're both still quite in it. Your journey's still going, Malachi. Jamie, you only just arrived in Sydney, 3 or 4 days ago? There's stuff that you haven't realised has changed about you that you won't realise for another 6, 12 months, 3 years maybe even as well, and it'll be reflecting in that. Jamie, a huge part of this journey for you was retracing your dad, Phil's steps of his tour 40 years ago. One of the best parts of that for me was seeing the recreation images from that, and we've spoken about that both times that I've had you on the show before. You've had some brilliant recreation shots since I spoke to you as well. How has that been since I last spoke with you? What sort of things, I guess, stand out in terms of being stood in a place and remembering your dad's sort of memories through that and his images?
The most amazing ones that I got since I last spoke to you were definitely in Indonesia and even Singapore as well. Singapore was amazing. So it's called the Merlion statue, and it's a statue in Singapore. And I got a photo recreation of that. And in my dad's old photo, the buildings behind it, like, it's all flat and it's some sort of old port type of thing. And then in my photo, it's a high-rise skyscraper city in the background. It's just changed so dramatically. And then the other ones would be cycling up Mount Bromo. Yeah, I got some from Mount Bromo, and they're just stunning. The photo recreations I got there are probably some of my favourite of the entire trip.
Yeah, and I think actually I can remember vividly one with Mount Bromo, and it's actually not at Mount Bromo. It's not at the lookout. The volcano's not there. It's one of your dad, Phill, hauling his bike through a muddy or steep road, and there's a shot of you doing the exact same sort of thing, hauling your bike through a really tough, steep road as well.
Yeah, so we actually went 2 different ways up Mount Bromo, me and Dad. So he took the other way, which it's less steep, but it's longer.
It looks pretty steep.
Yeah. That'll be on the last section. So he actually ended up going a completely different way. So he had that picture of him pushing his bike up, and we had so many sections like that. And unfortunately, I didn't actually get a photo of it. Those photos which I put on, they're screenshots from videos that I took.
Oh, they can be. I mean, it's 4K, right?
Yeah. So it's not quite as good quality, unfortunately, but they are good photos either way. They show the same sort of struggles, and yeah, I mean, there's so many photos on this trip which I haven't been able to recreate because of like various different things, like the roads not existing anymore, and like just not being able to find them because it was 40 years ago when Dad took these photos, and although he documented most of it, it's pretty hard to find them. And that's actually one thing that's really interesting, which I found incredibly useful recently, and I wish I thought of it sooner, is ChatGPT. I've been using ChatGPT for finding places because I can basically put my dad's image into ChatGPT and then ask it. I can say like, this image was taken near Jakarta 45 years ago. Where was it taken? And it'll give me the exact coordinates.
Wow.
Yeah, because it'll go through like Google Maps and all the imagery and stuff, and it's amazing. Like it'll give you a full description of how it came to the conclusion. Like it says, like, oh yeah, the geography of this landscape. There's certain types of rock here that only appeared in this, and it is perfect. So that helped me a lot with finding some shots in Indonesia.
Because that is something that I wanted to ask you. Is we get to see the end result of here's your dad's shots, here's my shot in the same place, but we don't get to see all the effort that goes into actually figuring out where on earth is it, where are we, and all of that.
Yeah, well, I wish I did more videos on that side of it. I wish I did more videos on like how I actually got the shots and stuff. I did end up doing one whilst I was in Singapore. Yeah, when I was getting some of the recreation shots in Singapore, I did make a video on that and like walking around the city trying to find the shots and stuff. Because it's really interesting because, figuring out the exact spot where he took it from, and it's all just perspective based and like looking at the landscape, and because sometimes you find the building but you need to get the right angle, so you're walking around for like half an hour trying to find the exact spot where he took the photo from.
Exactly. Wow. My goodness. You know how you arrived in Sydney a few days ago? What was it like when you arrived in Sydney? And actually, before you answer that, context of this question, I often wonder what it's like for people when they reach the final point that they have set themselves, if they have one, and whether some people, it's telling of how their trip was because sometimes they really want to speed up to it and get there as fast as they can. Some people, they do that to a point, and then when they're almost there, they find that they're doing things that sort of slow them down. Some people want to really try and, mirror image not mirror image, but try and have an imprint of what they're feeling, just, really, really take notice. What about you?
Well, I mean, the last stint that we did from Brisbane to Sydney, we ended up doing quite fast because, well, we ended up getting caught in a bit of terrible weather, to be honest, at the places where we would have liked to have spent like a day or two. And we were sort of whamming out the miles. We were doing like, probably averaging like 100, 110k. Actually, no, over that, I think. But yeah, so we were sort of going quite fast. And yeah, the day which we got into Sydney, it was quite emotional for me. It's the end of a massive chapter of my life, and I'll always be grateful for it. It was a very surreal feeling, sort of. We had to get in an elevator to get down to this in the Opera House, and I was thinking, like, on the way down from the elevator, I was just thinking, like, oh my God, this is it.
Yeah, and also, like, even, like, the first time you saw the Harbour Bridge.
Yeah.
Did you get, like, goosebumps or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was just, I have no words. Like, there's no feeling like it. I mean, it's completing a mission of a lifetime.
Yeah, and quite rightly so. I think when we first recorded, Jamie, you said this is something you've dreamed of since you were a little little Tucker sat at the kitchen table, knee-high to a grasshopper, and good old Phill, who's one of the best storytellers I've featured on the show, telling you stories from the photos that were up on your wall. And now you've got photos of you in those places. What an amazing thing. And Malachi, your own journey there, you've got, like we were talking before we pressed record, you both have galleries of photos and videos and images which will trigger memories here, today, tomorrow, the next day, the next week, the next year, 30, 40, 50, 60 years from now. Like, that's a mega thing. And something that I think so special is the friendship that you both have fostered as a result of this. I'm so damn happy that you both met up in Turkey, because I think it was actually, you had to rush Malachi to get there in time. And I wonder whether you would have caught each other anyway. But I'm so glad that you did.
Yeah, so am I.
Well, yeah, I mean, actually, so funny enough, I was actually going to make it there before Jamie. I would have been there 2 days before him.
You had to slow, but you pushed yourself thinking.
Sick.
You pushed yourself though, thinking that you wouldn't get there in time.
Yeah, so I was like
right.
hamming it really hard, like, I got to get there, and then that's when I fell ill for those 2 days, and I had to stay in that tea house. And then, funny enough, that actually meant that I was going to get there the same day he was going to get there. So it's funny how it worked out, because maybe had I got there 2 days before, I'd have been like, actually, I'm just going to keep going now because I don't want to stay here for almost a week, right?
And again, just the most amazing memory shared.
Yeah, exactly.
Lads, it has been such a trip for me to be able to sit across from you. I remember first recording with each of you going, I hope one day I'm going to put it out there. I want to speak to you when you're at the end. I hope to meet you in person. I've made it happen, ladies and gentlemen, listeners. We are here. We are now. It's awesome. I've had the most amazing pub tunes ringing around. So it's been great. But, wow, what a privilege to hear more of your story. I could chat to you for weeks and still probably have more questions. I've got to wrap it up. One of it's music related. What song are you both going to pick together to be the soundtrack to your adventures?
No.
What did you say there, Jamie?
I said Mr. Bombastic. Malachi was not on board.
No. I'm not having Mr. Bombastic on the playlist, so no.
I can. Going up the country.
Yeah, going up the country, or even Chippy T would be...
actually, yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
I hate it. But...
Yeah. Malachi's made the decision. It's Chippy T by the Lancashire Hot Pots.
Chippy, I don't know this song, but I love a Chippy T.
Yeah.
It's Jamie's favourite song to play on the ukulele, and I've had to listen to it so many times. I know the song off by heart pretty much.
Can someone sing a bar of the chorus?
I'll leave it to you, mate, because it's your song, really.
Do I have to?
Yes.
Oh, God.
If I'm a really good podcaster, I'll be able to overlay you playing the ukulele with the chorus. Maybe Spotify will ban me. What is the line of the chorus?
Do you want me to say it or sing it?
You can do. I'd prefer you to sing it.
You prefer me to sing it? Okay. Well, it's the end of the working week and I'm rushing home real quick. I'm starving, I'm faking the nose, I could eat a buttered brick. I need some stodgy food without the fuss. Then my wife hands me a plate of couscous. I said, I'm sorry, love, but I want a Chippy Tea. Chippy Tea, Chippy Tea. I want a Chippy Tea. But you keep giving me posh nosh, she don't agree with me. I don't want lobster thirbidor with raspberry coulis. I'm a working man from Lancashire and I want a Chippy Tea.
That is the best. That is the best.
It's a brilliant song.
The only thing I regret there is not having a video of you singing Chippy Tea.
Yeah, the amount of times I've heard that bloody song on this trip and bloody Lancashire Hot Pots, I'm like, Jamie, please, just let him do the song now, mate, please. And then, it didn't help that we're with Alfie, who's another fellow northerner who also happens to be very passionate about the Lancashire Hot Pots, so...
The Chippy Tea.
Yeah.
Hot Pots are the best.
Yeah, he loves them. But yeah, they are catchy, and it's a song that I will always remember forever, and will always remind me of this trip and cycling with Jamie and the ukulele and all that. Yeah,
that's a good proper earworm.
Yeah.
All right, next question. I'm going to change it up for you because you both answered this before. Let me try and think of one on the spot. Okay, lads, you're given a decision one day. You can go left, and you're going to be right back facing 50 km/h side crosswinds through the, where was it? Was it
Kazakhstan.
through Kazakhstan,
Russia. No, sorry. Yeah, that was Russia actually.
or you go right and you're going to be... Malachi, you're going to have to use your imagination here. You're going to have to sweat it up the steepest climb up to Mount Bromo. Which one are you choosing?
I tell you, what, I'd probably rather go up Mount Bromo because that was tough, but it wasn't like out of my control.
Good point. Yes. What about you? Actually, Malachi, to make it for you, something where you've been, either those crosswinds or the heat that you had in Laos.
I might have to say the crosswinds on that because
Heat stroke was pretty bad.
yeah, like that. I think that was the one point on the trip where weather-wise I genuinely felt scared for like my actual health. Like I think it was the fact that Jamie's never one to be like, okay, yeah, let's get the lift, and he's always like, oh no, we can do it. But it was when we were under that shelter, and we both looked at each other and were like, this is not safe anymore. It's just not safe. And I got heat stroke. And the reason I got the heat stroke was because we got in the truck, and because you're in the back of a truck, you're kind of cool because we were in the back of an open truck, so it was really cool. But I'm just sitting in the sun the whole time, had no idea. And then it just hit me.
Wow. It's pretty dangerous when it happens as well.
Yeah.
All right. One for crosswinds, one for Mount Bromo. In a way, I gave you crosswinds or an endless hill climb, which used to be the very original question there, Jamie. So we've got your answer on that now. Final question. Let me think of this. The best thing about taking a bike adventure together with you has been. What is the rest of that sentence going to be for you? Also, just quickly, this is a freaking banger of a song. This is an Aussie... Jet, you know the song? Oh, love it.
Best thing about taking a bike adventure together.
I'm trying to think, but I can't think because there's a banger in the background.
There is a banger in the background.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be able to boost it for the show. Jet, are you going to be my girl?
I think I would say it's probably just the experiences that you get to share together and the stories you get to share together at the end of the day and the laughs around camp and it's the very simple small things that are just so rewarding, I guess, about being together and cycling together.
Yeah. Shared memories.
The shared
forevermore.
memories, because it's like I was saying, even getting back now when he arrived in Australia and we're just sitting reminiscing, and it's like we tell each other stories that both of us kind of forget about, and it's just like, we'll probably meet up for the rest of our lives and continue to blurt out stupid stories to each other that we're like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot about that, and reminisce over those times. Because it's like one thing looking at a video and there's one thing like having the conversation about with someone that actually was there with you at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it reminds me, I've said this a number of times, but I did an interview with Jack Greenwood. He travelled up through South America. He had one of his best mates join him for the majority of that trip. And he said one of the best things has been they each just randomly send each other a photo with no context. And it might take a minute, but then they'll get a response saying, oh, yes, we were here this day, this crazy thing happened. And you get to do that. I think that's an awesome thing.
I think maybe once I go through everything again, all my content I've taken, I'll definitely send him some funny videos. Like, oh my goodness me, And there's a lot that didn't make it into the videos as well. There's a lot of stuff that didn't make it in. That's just for us. But there's a lot of stuff that's a lot of memories, a lot of stories.
What about you, Jamie? You got anything to add on to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same, to be honest. It's just the fact of getting through a really hard day, and then sometimes think shit just happens, and like you're nearly hit by a truck, or like whether it be when I fell off a cliff in Nepal and stuff like that, and like you're going through these situations and you're nearly dying, and you got someone to turn to and just go, lol, I survived. Let's crack on with it.
Oh my God.
It's the best thing ever.
Absolutely. Well, lads, what a way to bring it all to a close here. As I said before, absolute privilege, pleasure, sat across from two dead set legends in my home country, closing it out with an absolute banger of a tune here. Jet, Are You Going to Be My Girl? Just as the song changes. But yeah, it's been a wild experience. Often as a podcaster, interviewing guests multiple times, it feels like I always have to step up and trying to think of the right questions. And I finish the show and I think, oh, should I have asked this? Should I have asked that? This was totally unscripted, and it's felt so easy to chat with both of you. I know that you've got more stories to share. You've got more journeys to take, more adventures, whether they're whether they're on a bike or not. Jamie, I know that you can't wait to climb a mountain.
Yeah, I mean, this is a stepping stone onto bigger things, you know. There's more bigger adventures coming in the future, I'm telling you.
More bigger adventures to come in the future. Malachi, you're making your way down to Melbourne, and I hope that I'll be able to see you there as well.
Yeah, hopefully that would be great. Have another catch up over a beer. Yeah.
Absolutely. All is to say, legends, great memories shared together, great adventures had together, more adventures to come. Thank you both so much for once again giving me the lovely opportunity to share your stories and experiences here on the podcast for Seek Travel Ride.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having us for the third time. It's been an absolute honour and absolute privilege to be a part of this amazing podcast.
Yeah, it's been an honour. Thank you for having us on yet again, Bella.
There we go, listeners. That's a wrap on the third session I have had the privilege of sharing with both Jamie and Malachi. Being able to be face-to-face for this session was an extra special treat. There really is something intangible about being in person for a conversation. And it was also a great way for me to actually observe their really strong friendships. Both of them sat across from me, laughing with each other, joking with each other, and listening to them sing Chippy Tea. That was a great little treat as well. I can share that Jamie is now back in the UK. He actually went home for Christmas, surprising his beautiful mother, Ali. Phill, his dad, was in on the secret. It did actually occur to me, could you imagine if he had gone to surprise them for Christmas and they had come to Australia to surprise him for Christmas? Anyway, that didn't happen. A beautiful family Christmas was had for Jamie in the UK. Malachi is now making his way down towards Melbourne. So his adventure continues in Australia. One thing's pretty clear, their friendship bond is very, very strong and I am sure is one for life. Fast friendships certainly do form on the road, and it was great to hear how their friendship at different times helped each other get through those tough moments as well. Now, listeners, if you have been enjoying this episode of Seek Travel Ride and you'd like to support the show, you can do so by heading to buymeacoffee.com/Seek Travel Ride. Buy me a virtual coffee and let me know what is it that you are loving about the podcast and where will your next bike adventure be taking you. And until the next episode, I'm Bella Malloy. Thanks for listening. Listeners, that's the end of the episode. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Old Man Mountain. They have a bike rack solution for every type of bike. Personally, their axle pack mount have helped turn my dual suspension mountain bike into the perfect adventure machine. Head to oldmanmountain.com to check it out and start planning your next bike adventure.